All right, everybody, welcome to the first ever and probably the only ever after.
Only?
Hey, don't ruin it. Don't cut me off already.
Just talk already.
The After Dark No Reservations podcast. My name is Gus. I am here with the Hype and Booz.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hype.
Good job.
Glad you're listening. And you have made a poor life choice.
I'm Booz, and, well, let's just do the podcast.
All right, Booz, man. Good job cutting each other off there. How about you tell us about what we're going to do here? What is the point of all we're doing here?
Well, this is our podcast.
Good job. I didn't think about it.
It's our podcast, and we're just going to talk sports, anything that's happening right now, and just going to bullshit along the way.
Hey, guys, what's a podcast?
I don't know.
Jesus.
I'm just doing this and winging it. So if it's bad,
all right, fair enough.
See.
All right, yeah, I like Boo said. I mean, we're just let's have some fun with it. Let's talk about sports. Let's give the masses a little bit of a different take and maybe some craziness. And I mean, we can't be as messed up as Stephen A. Smith and the belated. I don't know if he's dead or if he's going somewhere else. Skip Bayless or whatever his name is.
I mean, his career's gonna die.
Well, yeah, he's going to Fox Sports, so whatever. He's going to be buried, But so yeah, it's just hey, come in, listen. It's banter, that's kind of reminiscent of some chat stuff going on and some fun stuff that happens. So that's all. That's all I got to say for that.
Well, I agree. I think we're gonna have a good time here, and let's get this show rolling, I guess. So, Boozman, we're gonna start us off with you were somewhere special to you, at least to everybody else in the world. That place is a shithole.
What?
So tell us about what you did this past weekend.
Well, I flew back to my hometown of Kansas City. My one of my first cousins was graduating college, and it was fun. I had a great time. I hung out with a lot of people I went to school with. I was out late on Saturday night right before graduation. I got a migraine, and then I went home.
Wow.
But I think my long-winded point is I didn't watch anything related to sports. So I saw maybe the first round of the draft when I watched first 30 minutes of the first round of the draft, and then I got on a plane and didn't see the rest of it.
So you saw 2 picks.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then,
I saw golf.
It does sound very Kansas City, I guess.
Well, we didn't even pick in the first round, so I figured why watch it.
Yeah, good point. All right, fair enough.
You guys did back out. I want to apologize to Kansas City. You are a great city. So
hey, man, that's a good apology because you're going to have some people hating you for that statement.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure.
I kind of have a rule, if you have to name your city, probably an issue there. Just starting point,
Well,
I don't know. Anyway,
what would you say about New York City, the most popular, greatest city in the world?
Is New York City really most? I mean, even outsiders, even if they think of if you say New York, they don't think Buffalo.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
don't. I've been to New York. I traveled extensively there, but they don't think those outer parts, the outskirts, the farming areas and stuff like that, or whatever. They think New York City. That's their vision. Times Square.
Oddly enough,
the big buildings.
Oddly enough, I think Schenectady, New York. Every time somebody says New York. So
nice. I like it. You know why? I like it.
Okay,
I'm big on
because I didn't watch the draft, guys. Because I didn't watch the draft, I figured we would kind of get into a debate, and I would ask you guys some questions about some hot button issues within the.
All right.
Oh Jesus! Here we go. Right off the bat.
Okay, so, and I'm going to be the judge of this because first of all, I didn't watch it. Second of all, I don't care. So
questions with
first
Booz,
question.
man. I like it.
Questions with Booz, man.
Right.
Okay, so question 1. In, let's say, 3 years from now, the first 2 picks taken, the only 2 that I really saw, I don't even know the first guy's name. Something Goff, and then...
Jared Goff. Yeah.
Jared Goff, there you go. See, I really didn't watch. Okay, first pick overall went to the Los Angeles Rams, Jared Goff, and then the second pick went to the Philadelphia Eagles, and they took Carson Wentz. Let's say in 3 years from now, of those two quarterbacks, who do you guys think has the better career going for themselves?
Do you want to go first or me?
Go ahead, Gus.
Go ahead and flip a coin.
Okay, I flipped the imaginary coin, and I'm going first because I'm a man. And I have to believe it's Carson Wentz because first off, I don't think they're going to start him day one, even though Sam Bradford is bitching and complaining about not wanting to get traded away and all that situation. But Carson Wentz, when he becomes a starter, I think Goff and Wentz are about equal talent-wise, but they have so many weapons in Philadelphia that I kind of like the Wentz side. And as far as Goff, I think he's going to get thrown into the fire right away, and he's going to have Todd Gurley, one of the best running backs in the league, but I don't know if they have anything else. So he's just going to be handing it off, and then I think he's just going to get thrown into the fire. And I don't like that situation. I think grooming quarterbacks are kind of overrated, but to throw your guy in there day one, being a rookie, his confidence is going to get shot. And we all know as an athlete, whoever's been an athlete, the number one thing is confidence.
So, do I have to defend Jared Goff?
No.
Well, I definitely have a penis too. I am also a man. But I would err on the side of I see Carson Wentz as, and he's a big guy, has a strong arm, whatever. I could see him becoming kind of in the Roethlisberger mold. And I think he is in the right spot, as Gus said. But if I'm defending Jared Goff, I have to say, just with Gurley in there and a team that's already kind of primed for the playoff push, he's going to be in a situation where he might not have to do as much as Carson Wentz has to do in that offense, where even though, the backfield, there might be some parts in there, but he's going to have to fling it around a little bit, and they move the ball a lot. At least they did last year. Who knows what's going to happen with the shift in coaching and everything. But Jared Goff he can make the throws. He can make all the throws. It's going to be a little bit of a that grace period you have to give him 2-3 years where he kind of just learns the offense and things of that nature. Obviously, I am very much a proponent of letting a young quarterback sit behind a starter. If Jared Goff is going to be great, you're going to see it back end of the first year, towards the beginning of the second year. Same thing was like when Peyton Manning came in the league. He was on a crummy team, and you could just see flashes of it. Derek Carr coming into the league on a mediocre / crummy team, and showing right away that he's got some potential there. So I think we're gonna know that second half of this year, and Gurley's gonna be a big help to that. Gurley's gonna be sadly he's gonna have to carry a lot of the load, I think. But if Goff is gonna be that next premier quarterback or that stud quarterback that's gonna be there for a long time, then we're gonna know relatively early, as opposed to a lot of other situations. So I think between Goff and Wentz, if I had to take one of the two, I lean towards the guy that has kind of more of the big time experience, kind of guy we've seen a little more on tape against better competition. But I like them both if the organization is going to give them the right situation. So.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. You both kind of said you really liked Carson Wentz. That's what I'm taking from the hype and from Gus. Because of the huge, just underwhelming performance of Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar last year, does that hurt him at all, or are those two still considered weapons?
I think Jordan Matthews is a weapon. I think he just had a bad year. Defenses just adjusted to him, and he fell under the pressure of becoming a number one wide receiver. But I think giving him more time and more time to learn the playbook and just settling into the offense, I think he's going to be fine. Granted, I don't think he's the top 5 wide receiver in the league. I think it would be a solid number 1.
As a West Coaster, I'm a avid, huge USC fan. Fight on. Nelson Aguilar, he in college didn't always run the greatest routes. There was little things here and there that kind of get to you. But in terms of just him being able to go out there and make big plays and make some tough catches, some catches that other guys won't make, and not Odell Beckham Jr. or anything like that, but it's like throws behind him and adjusting and just at top speed, turning around and making plays on the ball. The dude has it, and a lot of what we saw in Philly last year, I think, was just dysfunction. I think with Chip Kelly and with just who knew? They don't know what they were doing with their backfield. They didn't know what they're doing with the with the receivers in the pass game, and I really think if Wentz goes in there and can make some throws, these receivers are going to be up to the challenge. I think Jordan Matthews is a great talent. Nelson Aguilar, I would be more than happy to have that guy on my team. I really think that Philadelphia, they're not gonna be like a Super Bowl contender or anything, but with a little bit of experience with Wentz, getting some timing down with those receivers, those receivers' numbers will definitely be better.
I mean, there's a reason why Aguilar was a first-round pick. He is a good player. He just had a bad year. I think there's a lot more to see from that guy.
Definitely.
Okay, I like it. Round one, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the hype because I don't like Gus. Round two.
Yes, I got this.
I'm taking it.
I can't fuck it up.
Round two. Let's talk about Laremy Tunsil a little bit.
That's my boy.
So
don't talk bad.
I understand. I'm not going to talk bad, but I want to just kind of dive into this a little bit because that video came out right before the draft. The video of him smoking pot through a gas mask or whatever that thing was. How much of that video did that really affect where he ended up landing in the draft?
You want to go first, Greg, since I went first the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because I put first of all, the kid, I mean, amazing. There's the flag in the background. I think it's like the southern states.
The Dixie flag, yeah.
Yeah, the Dixie flag's up in the background, and then the kid's like choking up on the gas masks were like World War I, Civil War flag. He's mixing up his eras. Anyway, I have an issue with that more than anything. The NFL is going to have to figure out something because there are states legalizing marijuana. There, whatever, and whether or not you're on the side of that, it's happening. And so I'll just stay in that. I think overall legalization is going to come down the pipe at some point, or it's going to progress. And the NFL is really focused on. We know the Josh Gordons, we know, other players that have been through this situation. And it's just it doesn't make a lot of sense to, they're in a league where CTE and concussions and players like Junior, I grew up watching Junior Seau, USC guy, one of my boys, and, he ends his life tragically. And they're focus so much on that on marijuana and not really as focused necessarily, or at least they kind of deflect and they've been dodging and now finally they're in some ways accepting it or taking ownership of it a little bit. But I just feel like if I was an owner or a GM, and especially if I kind of did my homework and figured out, that's an old video, that wouldn't have affected me at all. Now that's not to say that, of course, the NFL itself as an entity is going to make whatever decisions they make. And they might not, my player might get suspended. Johnny Manziel, for example, the drinking and his whole thing that he's doing. But as an owner, if you have the right personnel in place and you feel kind of confident in what you're doing, hopefully you can bring that kid in, and hopefully you can and definitely advise him, mentor him, and get him just situated in a spot where he will kind of quote unquote conform to what he needs to do to be a successful player. And I would definitely take some hesitation early on, especially if there's talent up there, kind of talent/need, where you can go there and it's not a big deal. But if he's when he got to 13, when he got to 8 or 9, I'm sitting there going snap that kid up and hope he gets it together because his talent is that good.
I liked a lot of what he said. I agree with a lot of that. But, all right, for my stance, I'm going to go with a similar stance. I believe that Tunsil is just one of those talents that I don't think. Look, nowadays in the NFL, everybody. I mean, not even in the NFL. Everybody smokes weed, and that video was 2 years old. Plus,
At least.
yeah, at least 2 years old. You can tell in his face that he's a much bigger man now. But like the Dolphins, luckily we took him at spot number 13. The Dolphins took him. And the Dolphins, I'm actually surprised about this because the Dolphins actually did something good. That they did their homework. They discovered that video because Adam Gase, the head coach, and Laremy Tunsil actually share agents. So you know for damn sure that if Adam Gase was on his phone with the agent saying, "Hey, is this guy good?" And you know what the Dolphins found out? The reason why Tunsil was probably hacked by his stepfather, that's believed to be at the moment, which it has to be. In my opinion, it has to be him. Not a lot of people know that Tunsil's stepdad was beaten by Tunsil badly, and that's the reason why he's getting sued by his stepfather. But the reason why Tunsil beat his stepdad was because the stepdad was beating his wife, which is Tunsil's mom. So Tunsil saw this and beat the crap out of the stepdad. And you know, I can't. If you're a red-blooded man, if you see your mom getting beat, I would have done the same thing as him. Are you going to question my character? I don't think so. I think that Tunsil is a good kid. He didn't miss any pre-draft drug test. He was perfect 100%. So I just think that the Ravens overreacted. I know for a fact that they took him off the board when they saw that tape. And I think that's going to be one of those decisions that's going to haunt them. Maybe not haunt them, because Stanley's also a great tackle. But Laremy Tunsil, from the tape that I've seen, is a stud. Like, he is a wall in pass protection. So yeah. I think the Dolphins did a great job of doing their homework, and that's my point. There you go, Tunsil for #1 pick. I love you, Miami. There you go, Booze Man.
All right, well.
The damn Dolphins. They made a good decision for once.
In my opinion, they did. And I know I'm biased, but damn it, they did their homework.
I love it. All right, I'm going to give that round to Gus.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You're agreeing with me? Fuck you.
Yeah, because he agreed with the hype. I mean, what else am I going to do?
All right. He laid down his pride. Good. All right.
All right. I had a third question, but I'm blanking on it.
It's a tie
Miles
game.
Jack.
Okay, so yeah, Miles Jack. That guy fell to the second round.
Oh, God.
And
hell yeah.
He is arguably, and it was argued, I watched like pre-draft coverage and before the draft, like days before, it was argued that Miles Jack was the best talent to enter the draft this year. And rumors started flowing about him needing knee surgery and his knee being hurt and so on and so forth, and he fell the entire first day, he didn't get drafted, and then he sends out a video right before the draft of him dunking. It was impressive. It was very impressive.
It was a solid dunk. It wasn't anything special.
Still, though, he's a heavier
I'll
dude.
talk about the dunk if you want me to talk about the dunk.
I don't want you to talk about the dunk.
Did you see Le'Veon Bell's dunk? That was a crazy dunk.
I did not see that. Oh, shoot.
Look it up. Le'Veon Bell made a dunk last week.
All right. I will say...
Now.
Okay, what's the question? Let's go.
The question is, who do you think has more impact? Let's go rookie year. Who has more impact on the field rookie year? Jalen Smith, who got drafted in the first round.
No way rookie year. You can't do rookie year.
No way rookie.
Jalen Smith is going to be injured for this 2017.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so yeah, two guys who are injured.
Let's just say career. Who's going to have the better
career?
Yeah,
who has better career, more impact on their prospective teams?
All right.
Miles Jack or Jalen Smith?
Man, this hurts me because I love them both. You know what? Don't mind me. I'm going to take this first hype.
Oh, go for it.
I think it's going to be Jalen Smith because, number one, with his injury, it's an awful injury. It has what I heard from sources that I'm not going to say because I don't know if we're going to get fined. But it has his knee has like a 50-50 chance of recovering nerve tissue. So obviously, if he can't recover, he can't play because you're going to need to feel what's going on. But the Dallas Cowboys team doctor, head surgeon, was the man that performed the surgery to repair Jalen Smith's leg, his knee. So if you know that if there's anybody who's certain that his knee's gonna get better, it's that guy. And the Dallas Cowboys were like, hey, you know what? This guy, Jalen Smith, he's also another one of those guys that if he wasn't injured, he would have been top 3 for sure. Outside of the quarterbacks, obviously, top 3 talents. So I think Jalen Smith, he's going to take the year off. I think he's going to be good to go in 2017, and he's going to tear it up. I think the Cowboys made a great pick. I really want him to fall to Miami because I know we like to take chances on players like that. And, you know, it didn't happen. The Cowboys made a great pick, and I got to give credit to where credit's due. That's going to be a really, really scary linebacker in the future.
Look, I know it's going to sound like I'm waffling, but I'm not trying to.
Love waffles.
And I don't like to do it, but I'm not trying to. I feel like, in my heart, I agree with Gus. I feel like Jalen Smith is going to have the better career. But that being said, if Miles Jack, if his knee holds up, even for 5 or 6 years, that kid will be insane if they use him correctly. I know, you know, he played running back in college at UCLA. He played, you know, linebacker and whatever. If you watch this kid on tape, if you watch his games, the year prior to his knee injury, the kid just lights it up. He is insanely athletic. He is insanely gifted. He would definitely have been in my top 5, as most people said, if his knee was not an issue. If his knee holds up for 5 or 6 years, he is going to be more valuable than Jalen Smith.
Didn't he also play running back at UCLA? I saw some highlights of him.
He was amazing. He has great field vision. He, you know, avoids tackles. Everything. I mean, and so when he's playing on defense, he's the same thing. He sees the field so well, almost like a maestro, where he's, you know, like just kind of plucking at the parts and he knows what he's doing, dude. That kid has just instinct for days. I do not have confidence in his knee. I do not. And just the things I've heard, the fact that they're conflicting reports, the fact that just what's come out, I feel like they'll be lucky if they get, honestly, Jacksonville will be lucky if they get a season and a half out of the kid.
Damn.
And that's what's so sad because, look, I could be totally wrong. I hope I am. I hope that kid plays a long time. But the guy is a freak of nature. The guy could play on both sides of the ball. He could be a starting running back for, you know, a third, maybe half the teams in the league, or at least a contributing running back. But I feel like I kind of agree with Gus in the sense I feel like Jalen Smith's going to have the better career long term because of the injury. But if Miles Jack stays on the field for any length of time, that dude's going to make an impact for sure.
I know like 4 teams that were trying to trade up before Jacksonville did. The Dolphins, unfortunately, were one of them. Break my heart. It would have been Miles Jack is one of those guys that he can cover like any position on the field. He's one of those linebackers that's almost a safety. It's ridiculous. He has one of the
for sure.
He's one of the best cover linebackers we've ever seen coming out of college.
For sure.
Well, I'm getting notified from our fact checker right now. Jalen Smith was actually taken at pick 3 in the 2nd round. Yeah. So I was mistaken initially. I am an idiot.
I don't disagree with that statement, sir.
Nor do I. Okay, let's move into. That was all my draft debate questions, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and have to make the last round a tie because I don't know anything about those last 2 guys.
Breaking my heart, man.
I don't care.
I wanted to win that.
God damn it!
Don't care at all. You guys tie, and I am the king.
Well, you did ask some questions.
Why did we give Boozman his own segment? God damn it.
Yeah, this is what happens.
We messed that up.
When Boozman has a segment, he gets ties. It's like soccer.
I am the king.
Everyone gets a participation trophy.
Oh, hold on now. You guys don't get any participation or ribbons. I'm just out here wearing a crown. That's all I know.
Can we fit that in the budget yet? The participation trophy sounds expensive.
I'll go buy my own tomorrow. Whatever.
I competed in this. All right, next segment. So for Greg and the Hype and I,
Mm-hmm.
we actually saw the draft, instead of being in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So let's discuss some of the dumbest picks we saw.
Oh man.
And we're not going to talk about the Aguayo pick because we actually all agree that was probably the dumbest pick I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say yes. It's a kicker.
No, hey, can I just look?
They gave up 3 picks for a kicker in the second round.
Okay, the trade up was bad. Yes, I agree with that.
Traded up for a kicker, dude.
I don't. Okay, Janet, 2000. All right, gosh, Fantasy Life blog. I'm just gonna give away my whole article now. 2000, the Raiders drafted Sebastian Janikowski, first round, I believe 17th pick, 18th pick. I gotta double check that. But if you think about that now, nobody gives a crap. Nobody gives a shit because the dude's been there for 16 years. The dude's, he's not the best kicker in the league or the most clutch kicker. He's a good kicker.
Well, he's one of them. He used to be one of them.
Yeah. Oh no, his range is still amazing. He's probably top 5, top 10, whatever, depending on who you ask. But Sean Alexander, I believe, was drafted right after him, or right in there. There weren't a lot of other guys that were drafted after Janikowski that made significant impact. So, yeah, Aguayo. The problem I have with the Aguayo pick is just the trade up because I don't who's really someone else is going to take him. But at the same time, taking a kicker second round is not the most. It's not the most egregious. Like people that are coming out and saying that's the worst pick of all time. Okay, Janikowski, another Florida State guy that was, solid in college. Same deal. But he's a first rounder. This guy was like 30 picks earlier, or almost 30 picks earlier. So I feel like hindsight is going to be the issue with this kid. If the kid is garbage and doesn't do anything, and if there are some studs that were drafted relatively shortly after him, then yeah, that's going to be problematic. The franchise is going to have to look back and be like, oh, we screwed up. And the trade-up was also not my favorite thing. But just in terms of the scope of things, people that are coming out and jumping out and saying, like, this is the worst pick ever, again, I'm that guy that's like, let's wait and see,
That's fair. I agree. I agree with that, but like you were saying, Sebastian Janikowski got taken in the first round, and then there has to be players who have had more of an impact than Sebastian Janikowski has had that went after him in that exact
There are, but
Sean
not
Alexander.
as many as you would think.
Yeah, Sean Alexander.
Yeah, for sure. But if you look at the Pro Bowlers and stuff, it's not a lot. And then it's a coin flip because you look at it's the outlier example that everyone wants to use, but Tom Brady. How many times the teams and his own team pass on him, and now here he is, in the conversation as one of the greatest quarterbacks. Comes out, he's like a 7th grade gym class body physique in the combine, right? Like he looked like every kid, right? Sure, so and then now he's this guy's one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So. Yeah, but then you look at if you look at every single player that was drafted before him, you're going to find guys that bombed and that didn't do well. Same thing with Janikowski. You could look down the list. You're going to find some guys that did well. You're going to find some Pro Bowlers. But just the whole, it's, I don't want to be a dick and I don't want to be, I don't want to harp on it too much, but just the overreaction of these picks is absurd. It's like, Carson Wentz has an A+ grade, and it's like, in 3 years, if he's washed out of the league, if he's the next Ryan Leaf, what does that make you look like? Your grades mean jack shit then,
That's a fair point. I just think that Aguayo is a phenomenal kicker. I'm not going to doubt that. He is the best kicker coming out of this draft.
And he's got a leg.
And he's probably one of the best kickers we've seen in the past 20 years. Don't get me wrong. But for a team like Tampa that has a lot of needs, I just think that some GM, the GM of Tampa Bay must have loved Aguayo coming out, and some other GM from some other team told him, hey, we're going to take Aguayo, and they just no, we can't let that happen, we got to get him. And they just gave up so much for him. I think a team with so many needs like Tampa does kind of lost out on some possible players that they could have picked. You never know what could have happened with those other picks, but Aguayo is a stud. I mean, he's also a kicker, though, so... that's my thoughts on the damn kicker that we talked about for 20 minutes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have some very strong thoughts about a guy that I actually went to high school with.
Oh, shoot.
His name is DeAndre Hall. He went to University of Northern Iowa, Missouri Valley Conference. He's like 6'4". He's got long arms, but he ran a 4.6 40, and he's a cornerback.
I mean, he's a big corner. That's big.
How tall did I say?
He was 6'4"?
No, he's 6'1".
Oh, my bad. Well, that's your bad. I blame you.
Yeah, that's I blame you too. He's 6'1", 199 pounds.
Still a big corner.
Ran a 4.6. It's a big corner, yeah, but he ran a 4.6, and I don't think there's anybody cornerback-wise that ran slower than that. And maybe he had a great senior day, but he's long and he did great, and all of his reviews were that he has all the talent in the world, and he was that way in high school. I mean, he was a shutdown D-back. He played wide receiver. He played on both ends of the ball. He played basketball. He could jump out of the gym. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, but my only worry is I haven't seen him watched him or talked to him in probably 6 years.
What is that in the background? Somebody in the bathroom?
What?
What just happened?
All right. So.
Anyways,
whatever that was.
I just worry about his speed. He's slow. That's all I gotta say. He ran a 4.6 40, and he's 6'1". I mean, 6'1", 199 pounds will probably be upwards of 210 by the time actual football starts because of the way they work those guys out.
Yeah.
I just don't see him being able to get any faster. If he's going to be putting on weight, how is he going to cut speed if he's putting on weight because he's working out all the time? I don't know. It's just he went to Chicago. I know a lot of my friends were like, the Chiefs should take him at the pick before, and I was like, absolutely do not do that because he would be a liability at a team that already has some very good corners.
So I have a question for you guys then in terms of that. What is it that you focus on most when you kind of like scout out or kind of like, analyze a draft pick or analyze a player? What is it that you look at? Because the speed is one thing, as again, Raiders fan here, let's draft the fastest guy, does not always pan out. So I focus, or I emphasize a lot of like the game film, and like Booz was saying, like, hey, this dude in high school, this dude in college. Now, obviously, the pros, it's a big leap, it's a big jump. There are guys that are running crisper routes, faster routes, cutting on a dime. But what is it that for you guys is like really the standout thing that like this is what I go to decide how good a player can or cannot be?
I agree with you. I go to tape. I think tape it tells the story of how the player's going to play. You can look at a guy like, me as a Dolphins fan, I can go to Zach Thomas, who didn't do well at the combine. He fell in the draft. But you know what? He's a gamer, and now he's a borderline Hall of Famer. But I might be biased. I'm gonna go to the tape kind of guy. When you see a corner or a wide receiver put that 4.2 40, that's like, oh wow, that's impressive. But who in the NFL goes in a straight line anymore, like other than the street route?
Exactly.
I just think that 40 time is a little overrated, but it is nice to see. Sorry, Booz, but real quick, that's almost, I almost wanted to toss that in with that Miles Jack dunk earlier. There's no cutting. There's none of the stuff you actually see on the NFL field. So that video itself doesn't show me much. And like you said, there's something about the tape, the instinct, that really, strikes home with me. So, Booz?
Well, because you just made that Miles Jack point, you end up winning that round.
Oh,
which I guess makes you the
Woo! This is ridiculous. I call foul.
But I agree with you. I think call foul. You can what? Anyways, I think the most important thing that I take when I'm watching a prospective professional athlete, It's very positional for me, and I love watching the combine. It's one of my favorite things to do before every season to kind of really see how a rookie does. And yeah, like you guys both said, I watch a lot of tape and I try and get who they are as a player. But I think, I mean, going in, if you're an offensive guard and you want to impress somebody, go put up 225 pounds like 40 times and show that you've got that strength to really keep somebody pressed out with those arms. Or if you're a linebacker and you want to show that you're very explosive, or you're a D lineman, you want to show that you're explosive, have a a vertical. Impress somebody in the combine with those.
Let me cut you off because I want to give you this question. What about that guy who, that guy Odell Beckham's cousin? I think it was his cousin, right? I forgot his first name, but he was he went to the combine. He had I don't know, what was it, 40? I think it was 25. 225-pound reps, the most by far for the running back class. He put up impressive numbers, but we haven't seen this guy play. And he didn't go to college to play. He unfortunately had to take care of his family. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't drafted. I don't know if he was signed. So what do you say about a player like that who has all the combine talent, but we don't know who he is? We haven't seen any game tape on him.
Well, then I think you have to kind of weigh those both together. I think game tape is incredibly important because you see what they've done and what they can do actually in a football game. In Odell Beckham's cousin's case, I wouldn't think of him at all. I wouldn't have him on my board if I was a GM, just because he hasn't done anything. He can't. There's always the combine superstars. There's the practice team all-stars that you see on any team who can just absolutely tear it up in practice and leave everybody in the dust. But you put them in an actual game and they're just not gonna be impressive. I think you have to weigh them on a scale. You want impressive numbers at the combine, but even if you have average numbers at the combine and you're just a tremendous football player, you watch his tape. I think that's you have to weigh the two.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about, so it's Teron Beckham.
Teron Beckham, there you go.
Yeah, Teron Beckham. He might not have the football experience or the football acumen in terms of background, but, I think back to Brock Lesnar, NCAA wrestler, / hey, I'm going to try out for the Minnesota Vikings. And apparently, according to the Vikings, was one of the last cut, almost made the team because of his athletic ability. And then you think about other guys who did have some football, or maybe not even a lot of football, more basketball, like Antonio Gates or Tony Gonzalez. They had more, a lot of basketball hype and a little bit of football in there. So yeah, you can definitely find some freaks of nature, some athletic freaks that are so gifted that, why not give them a shot? But at the same time, I gotta agree with Booz. If they don't have anything on tape, anything on film in terms of the game, it's such a learning curve, especially depending on position. But there's such a learning curve there in terms of technique and in terms of just the reps. The reps mean so much. And if you don't have them, you're so far behind. It's going to take you X amount of years to even catch up to the guy that's at the bottom of the totem pole. So
I agree with you guys. I was just making a point because Boozman seemed to be a combine god guy, but I agree with both of you. The tape rules overall, but it's nice to see those combine skills.
For sure.
For my stupid draft pick, I'm gonna make this quick because we want to go to the next segment, but I'm gonna go with Christian Hackenberg of the Jets. Drafted in the second round. I think there was better quarterbacks of where he was taken. And he's also one of those guys that I've seen plenty of Penn State games throughout the years. And he was really good when Allen Robinson was around. And then when he left, I don't know if they changed the system. I'm not 100% sure. I think their head coach went somewhere else. I have to make sure about that. But he fell off the map after his last 2 years. I just didn't see what I didn't like what I saw. So that's my head scratching pick.
Again, didn't watch the draft, don't know anything about that guy, so I'm going to have to agree.
The word hack isn't his name, so
yeah, fair.
I'm going with that. I'm going with that.
Self-explanatory.
But other than that, I think the Jets had a good draft for any of you Jets fans listening. But anyway,
finally.
So we're going to talk a little bit more. We had a lot of draft coverage there. It's a good portion. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. It's the NBA playoffs. It is hype. It is ecstatic. It is going crazy right now.
Hype!
Exactly. Breaking my ears right there. But
word of the day.
So we had a little incident in the Thunder Spurs game with
Dude.
Dion Waiters pushing off, not really pushing off, more like elbowing somebody in the chest.
Straight up forearms.
That was a non-call, and I saw a funny Instagram video earlier today that Sports Nation put up. I don't know if you guys can go back to that on the Instagram account. That you just see Marcus Aldridge's face, and like he sees the foul happen, and he's like his mouth is so wide open that it's not a foul. It is funny, but unfortunately for the Spurs, they ended up losing the game. So, Boozman, you have some words on that topic?
I think it's unbelievable what happened. That first of all, it didn't get called because the referee was standing right there. But you always see, especially in the NBA, you see if it's under a minute left and it's a less than a 5-point game, man, the whistles are just in the pockets and nobody's touching them, regardless of what happens. But I think this was just such a blatant foul. There were also, what did they say? It was something like 5 fouls occurred in that last, 10 seconds right there. I mean, it was just so much had to have been happening. I'm not defending the referee in any way. What he didn't call might have been the most egregious non-call I think I've ever seen. But he just got elbowed in the chest. It wasn't even an elbow. I mean, he just leaned over and shoved him. And he jumped on the inbound pass, which you're not supposed to do. Manu Ginobili stepped over the line, which you're not supposed to do. Somebody else got pushed over back in the back. It was the most ridiculous foul I've ever seen, and it had to have been called. I mean, they came out and said they made a mistake, and we also missed 4 other penalties in that 30 seconds. So I mean, I think this just calls for some serious review in the NBA refereeing circuit. Changes need to be made. Rules need to be enforced harder. I mean, yeah, you're going to get the referees that, hey, let them play. It's going to be a tough game or it's going to be a soft game. We're going to call everything.
Mm-hmm.
But a call that's that blatant, you have to make it. There's no excuse.
I agree. I saw the play, and I didn't see it live, unfortunately. I was doing other things. But when I went back to the highlight of it, I was baffled because the referee said after the game that they had never seen a incident like that before, which I find baffling. Like, you've never seen somebody elbow somebody before? It might not happen during the play, but, I mean, that has to be a foul. I don't know. I think the Spurs got robbed because they still got the ball and they still took over possession of it. But, they didn't have a set play. Everything was sort of crazy and confusing. So, I don't know. I think the Spurs got the short end of the stick on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a vested interest per se in the series.
Well, get one,
I'm a big, I will say
pay attention.
Again,
what the hell are you doing?
FL Blog, the hype, look me up. Maybe my article will come out someday. I wrote an article about the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard in particular after Game 2 of the Memphis series. Kawhi Leonard, such an overlooked star in the league, because he's ho-hum, goes about his business, does his thing. So
I don't think he's overlooked anymore. I think he's a top 10 player.
He's overlooked, but he's not overlooked, but he is. I know that's not, there's the juxtaposition of people know he's good, but when you say who's the best player in the league, oh, Steph Curry, oh, LeBron James, oh, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, whatever. And this guy is just a freak in terms of the defensive side of the ball and on offense when, he's so good at exploiting mismatches. The dude is overlooked. Even though people know he's a star, he's still in kind of that second tier, or that he's not a flashy player. So anyway, if I had to say, who I'm rooting for, I would kind of pull for the Spurs a little bit. I want to see the Spurs and the Warriors battle it out and see who really is the cream of the crop. And I think whoever wins that series probably wins the finals, but we'll see. But yeah, last night, just the amount of missed calls, like you said, in that last 15, 16 seconds or whatever it was, and then the forearm. Okay, Ginobili's foot maybe was on the line. They never call that. They
I
always
don't
just
even,
back the.
I don't
They
even
back
think
the
that's
guy
a
up.
fair response to that. Like, who
Yeah,
cares if it goes online? You elbowed him.
Yeah, exactly. He lunges forward, elbows Ginobili inbounds, not out of bounds, totally pushes into his inbound space, and it's right in front of the ref, like Booz
No,
said.
guys.
Right,
What you're missing, his foot was on the line.
Of course.
What's not to understand?
That's
It's like
crazy,
he missed
though.
it.
That's so crazy because you see that constantly, and you see all the ref does is kind of back the guy up, you know. The ref kind of comes in and does his thing, but for the offensive player that's inbounding the ball to lunge forward and put his forearm out there right in front of the referee, it defies all logic, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of like crazy. It's like, so basically, last 30 seconds of the game, we can do whatever the hell we want. Okay, like fair game. Let's make it like the 80s again. Let's Kevin McHale murder Kurt Rambis and have a nice day about it. Like, not that it was that bad, obviously, but the idea of the referees pocketing their whistles is just absurd to me because, 2006, Dwayne Wade wins the championship with the Heat, and sorry, Gus.
That's fine.
He got a lot of calls, man.
Oh, yes, he did. I don't doubt that for a second.
And it might not have been the end of the game, per se, but that dude got whistle and whistle and whistle. And
I agree.
Like, if it's going to impact the game and the outcome of the game, you got to make a call. And, you can kind of let some things slide, but for a dude to lunge from out of bounds to inbounds with a forearm, I have not seen that before with a referee looking at it and not doing anything about it.
Speaking to your point about refs holding the whistles in their pockets, do you guys remember Game 7, Toronto and the Raptors and the Pacers, where DeMar DeRozan boxed out Jan Mahimi, but it was obviously a foul call. They didn't call it. Did you guys see that?
I caught the highlight of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another moment where it's just like it's so blatantly obvious to fans. It has to be obvious to the refs. I don't know. I mean,
well, and then the league comes out afterwards and is like, "Oh, we made a mistake," and and it's like, congratulations. It does nothing.
It does nothing.
It maybe makes it worse because now it's all over sports talk. It's on this podcast. It's everywhere. It's like, it does nothing to rectify the situation of what happened.
If I just got eliminated from the playoffs, the last thing I want to hear is the NBA telling me, "Sorry, we missed that call." It's like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
It was such a big influence on the game too. I mean, it changed. It literally changed the outcome. So I mean, there should be some sort of referee penalization. I don't know if there even is such a thing. But it was such just a blatant miss.
Go back to
there has to be some sort of I mean there needs to be, like, if you get so many speeding tickets, you got to go back to driving school. I mean, there should be some sort of something you have to
Stop
do.
telling them what to do to me.
Oh God!
I'm up to 2 now. I'm up to 2. Strikes them out. Stop it.
All right. So also another series that just played out tonight, just started tonight, was the Heat and the Raptors. The Heat had an exciting win. So we won't talk about that game too much because this just happened. It's so fresh in our minds. So I want to talk about real quick. I want to talk about who you guys think advances to face the Warriors. So let's give your thoughts on the situation that's going to transpire throughout the NBA Finals.
Oh man, the Warriors. I honestly think it's going to be a toss-up between the Warriors and Spurs. If Steph Curry comes back and is healthy, I got the Warriors. If not, I got the Spurs. But I would not be surprised either way. East, I think Cleveland has it. I think Cleveland just with LeBron pushing it. Kyrie is playing really good. Kevin Love seems to kind of just be finding a little bit of a groove here and there. I think they get it. I think the Spurs and the Warriors with a healthy Steph Curry both beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, but both should be decent series, 6 or 7 games. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the Western Conference comes out of it. Honestly, it's a toss-up between those 2 teams, though.
Boozman?
As much as I hate to say it, And I might be one of the biggest Steph Curry fans on the planet. I watched him with Dayton. I watched him ever since, and I love him. I just think the Spurs are the anti-Warriors. I think they are the Warriors' kryptonite. The Spurs just never go away. Tim Duncan, like in his career, if you look at his career statistics, come on, man. If you look at his career stats year by year, his first 3 years are like bigger numbers, but it's been like the same every year since. He's just Mr. Consistency. And
Mr. Fundamental.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's Mr. Fundamental. He's Mr. Consistency. He's unbelievable. And now they've got LaMarcus Aldridge, who's just tearing it up in the playoffs. I mean, he's playing unbelievable basketball this playoffs. It's going to be hard to beat that team. And I think if Steph Curry comes back, if they try and rush him back too soon into the playoffs, it might be an issue for him. I think knees are important for basketball, I guess. I don't know.
For life, for walking.
I would say knees are a pretty big part of your game in basketball. And if they try and rush him back and he's not 100%, then that might be an issue. If you don't have a fully healthy Steph Curry, you're going to be relying on Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala and Harry Barnes. I mean, like, those guys are all great, respectively, but they're not. I mean, Steph Curry is the playmaker on that team. He's the one that sets the tone, and without him, it's going to be a problem. So ideally, my finals matchup would be a repeat of last year: Cleveland against Warriors, and I just want LeBron to take one, man. I love LeBron. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right, that's a fair. I know I'm with you guys with the West taking it though. I'm not with you, Booz, man. I apologize. I think that the Warriors Spurs series. I think regarding Steph Curry's injury, I think the Warriors are probably the most advanced team medically in the league by far. Like if you hear the diet that they have to go through, it's ridiculous. They have any carbs outside of like healthy whole grain fibers. It's insane what that team does to win. I think that if Steph Curry is not ready to go game one, they'll sit him, and if they sit him, they're going to lose game one for sure in the Oracle. I just think the Spurs, if LaMarcus Aldridge keeps playing the way he's playing, I think the Spurs are going to take him, and I think the Spurs get out of the West. That's my thought on that side. And on the Eastern side, I think it's the Cavaliers too. I think the Cavs are just a notch above anybody else playing. Although I would love to see the energy in Miami if Miami makes the Eastern Conference Finals and faces LeBron. That's going to be an exciting series.
Yeah, that would for sure.
I agree.
That would bring in television ratings.
Yeah,
that would be a fun time.
That would be great. And Miami's playing good basketball. Like, I wouldn't even count them out. Like, I don't even think that's like a stretch to say that they could make it out of the East. I think they're playing great basketball right now. Dwayne Wade, if I mean, he's old, but he's still playing great ball.
Father
and if I don't know when this will come out a different day, but I know Hassan Whiteside got injured. He came back in, but has there been anything else on what actually happened to him?
As far as what I've seen, he seems to be okay and good to go.
Okay. Well, good. I agree. I think I wouldn't count them out, but it's just LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Love and just that whole team is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it would be a fun series just because of the history, but I feel like the Cavaliers just, the firepower, like you guys said, it's there, and they were there last year. I feel like their mission is to get there and try to avenge what happened last year. I don't know if they can, but the East is such a clear path. It's in some ways, at least in respects to the West, and it has been for a few years now. So, for a while now, I guess. But
at least the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron does lead the Cavaliers to a win, especially like Boo said over that Golden State team. But I think that San Antonio team, which on their best day, is just going to beat anybody that stands in their way.
I think it depends on the matchup. I think if the Cavaliers face the Warriors, I think the Cavaliers have a much better chance than they do against San Antonio because, as you said earlier in the podcast, Kawhi Leonard can not shut down LeBron because nobody really can do that, but he is so good defensively he can slow him down. I saw it firsthand in the Miami Spurs series. That was a series I would love to forget in 2014.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys have to say, or?
Well, let's go back and talk about dumb draft picks from the NBA draft. This past no, no.
I have a real bone to pick with 2007.
I was about to say, I have a real bone to pick with you, Hype. After we get done with this, Dwayne Wade did not get overfouled in 2006. That was some bull.
Oh man, I'm gonna look up the free throw statistics now. Like 78 free throws in Game 6. What the hell?
He earned every one of them. Got down 7, back up 8.
I can't complain that much. I mean, Lakers fan, Shaq, Game 7 against the Kings back in 2002. So, all right, I'll give it to you. Whatever.
All right, so I think we're about done here, guys. What do you think? Do you guys have anything to say to send our audience away?
Well,
anything appropriate.
Oh, I've got some appropriate things to say.
Okay.
You guys can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at After Dark Pod. You can follow us on Instagram at After Dark Pod. If you have any questions for any of us on the podcast, it doesn't necessarily have to be sports related. You can email us at afterdarknoreservations@gmail.com.
So long, God. That's like typing an essay.
It's not that bad. But yeah, email us at afterdarknoreservations@gmail.com. DM us at AfterDarkPod, or I don't know. Can you send DMs on Instagram?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Well, don't make it weird on Instagram, please.
Yeah. If you start sending us messages on Instagram, we're gonna start worrying about what's going on.
I will. Any other plugs we got to do? I will say thank you for listening, KM and the rest, and fuck you for listening as well, because this shit is breaking down. I don't even know. So, hey, next week, let's try it again, and
what makes you think there's a next week? What makes you think there's a next week?
I don't know. I'm in SoCal. I drive the freeways. There's never a next day for me, so whatever. I give up.
I just want to say, if you guys are still listening, I'm surprised, and I want to thank you for sticking around on the After Dark podcast. No reservations, and for myself, for the Hype, and for Booz, I want to send us off, and you all have a damn good freaking day. No cussing.
Oh, so weak.
I hate you. I hate you. All right.
He just doesn't want to do more editing.